My chief said we brain banging, we ain't gang banging. So welcome to Brain Bang University, motherfuckers. I'm the motherfucking dean of the university, and I'm gonna brain bang your ass into submission. I'm gonna let that sink in while I light my blunt.
Smoke some, bitch.
So it's 5:35. That's 13 on the Queen Mother Seal, which is the mother of the king, a blue house knot. So this is gonna be short, and so I'm gonna give people a chance to get in here. So, and see, this is about the Larry Hoover Compassionate Release Review. And so I need whoever in here that's capable to share this information, because we need to get Lil Larry informed on what the lawyer for Larry Hoover need to know. So the judge keep asking in Larry's case, how many murders is Larry responsible for? And he's asking this in sarcasm because of how the compassionate release case is being presented. Because what nobody's mentioning that's critical to the freedom of Larry Hoover is the fact that his leadership skills was so influential to the people that it was the ones who we call growth and development now, that was formerly Gangster Disciples. Larry was holding his position under duress. Nobody's bringing this up in none of his legal proceedings, the duress factor. We keep forgetting, the ones that don't know the history of the nation of growth and development. We keep forgetting that Larry was on the list of potential leaders that needed to be neutralized under COINTELPRO. The judge would have to request the Larry Hoover COINTELPRO file, but nobody's gonna touch that because they don't want the people to know that the government was actively trying to usurp any potential leaders in our community. So we can't use the COINTELPRO operations that got Larry initially removed from the street. The judge will have to expose too much. But what we can use is the fact that Larry tried to step away from the Disciple Nation way back in 1972 or 73 in Stateville. The story is told by the Dirk, who is the historian who was there during these events. So the duress comes in as the viable defense, because you first have to understand, why did they want to force Larry under the threat of death to run the Disciple Nation? Because he was a good man. They figure if you put the good man out front, it will attract the other children that are good boys that's going to become good men, and they will be able to use him as the figurehead leadership, right? So Larry can testify to this, Dirk can testify to this, and there's a list of several other people that's still alive that can testify to Larry being told that if he stepped down from being the king of the Disciple Nation, he was going to get murdered. His life is in jeopardy. He's in prison, and there's nothing the government can do to protect him from the people that say that if you don't wear this crown, Larry, you dead. You're going to die. We're going to murder you right here in the penitentiary. Now, he has no choice, right? So the question is not how many deaths is Larry responsible for. How many lives have this man saved, right? This is a more viable question. How many lives did Larry Hoover save? I'm one. I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for the literature and the sanctioning of us to study the literature by Larry Hoover. And I would be done bugged out and tore up a whole lot of shit and been to war with the police a long time ago if it wasn't for Larry Hoover telling us it's an educational thing that you have to educate yourself out of. He said we brain banging, not gang banging. There's too many of these young black males in the street fighting each other, being turned against each other for no good reason for somebody's financial gain other than the people that's being pitted against each other. So the judge has not been told that way back in 72, 73, Larry was trying to be disassociated from the disciple nations, and the disciple nation told him, if you step down, we killing you. So now, instead of anybody telling this part of the truth, it's being silent, and there's no way the man can't defend himself. He can't defend himself. He's in the catch-22. Nobody's telling the judge, hey, look, that man tried to get away from them characters way back in the day when he was very young youth. Y'all been kept him in prison all of this time, and he was forced to hold the position with his life literally on the line. You can go back and pull his medical history and find out that Larry got stabbed in F1 in Division 1 in the county jail. So how in the hell can he expect the government to protect him in prison when they couldn't protect him in the county jail? Now, the lawyer not being told this is going to be rendered ineffective in his bid for the compassionate release. So Larry gave a letter up about a year ago explaining that he's trying to get away from these characters, and he can't get away from them in prison because in prison he's under the threat of death by other inmates if he was to step away from the disciple nation. This makes him being forced to be in prison for being determined to stay alive. That should never be an option where if I don't run this show, I'm going to be dead. But if I do, the government is going to wreak the tyranny of their judicial system on me for being forced into a position that I had no say in whether I accept or not. It's called the Duress Defense. So the lawyer in Larry's case need to hear the video that I'm going to put in the comments when I post this on Facebook of Dirk, the historian of the Disciple Nation, right, who is telling the story about how when Larry tried to step away from the disciples back when he was a kid. He was 21 years old, something like that. He's a baby. He's a kid. He tried to step away. They threatened to murder him. You will not make it out of prison unless you run this. So now when you see the 21st century vote in the changing of the direction from gangster disciple to growth and development, the question is not how many deaths is Larry responsible for, but how many people did he personally send to college, to university, to become doctors and lawyers and scientists and other people with good standing in the community, and how many people did he help them with their athletic career by putting a don't touch them order on this child that's trying to do what's right? None of them is talking about that. 47, 74, GD flip. So the lawyer in Larry case, so all of the people who know Lil Larry, send this to his inbox on Instagram, overrun his inbox with this video so he can get the correct information to the attorney to correctly argue Larry's case. If he's not telling them about the duress and how his life was threatened in prison, if he don't run this, there's nothing he can do. So you can't make him become the fall guy, the patsy, when he was forced into the position under the threat of death. If the judge doesn't know that, he don't know what Larry is really going through as a man being held responsible for a group of bad people that was masquerading as kinfolk. And that they was the ones who threatened to kill him if he didn't hold the leadership banner, because he was known in his community as being a good man and a good kid growing up. He was a good young man. And because of this, because they knew that he not going to say, just go kill everybody, because he's a good man, he's going to try to find a way to survive. First of all, for self-preservation is the very first law of nature. The second law of nature is the preservation of your species and kind through procreation, right? And self-sacrifice. If you understand what Larry going through, being forced to run, he has to minimize the damage that these people that's using him as leader, using his image, and taking advantage of his good, kind-hearted nature and forcing him to run a organization. He has to try to take the power from the wicked and do the best good he can under the conditions that he's given. So he did the best good that he can. He wasn't on the streets to control whether the drugs come into the community or not. Before the drug trade became so monumental, he was already locked up. Before there was a Ricky Ross, Larry was locked up. Before there was a El Chapo, Larry was locked up. You can't hold him responsible when he's already trying to get away from these people and they threatening to kill him if he do. And he's in the condition, position, and under circumstances that he has zero control of whether this officer gonna let the assassin in his cell while he sleep at night. So part of the mission he have to do is to protect himself, because he want to come home and be with his family. He can't do that if he have to get killed for stepping down as the chairman of the Disciple Nation. Right? So I don't want this to be too long, so I'm going to end it here. But remember, Larry Ben tried to get away. They held him in a leadership position because he was known to be a good man, and that he would be instrumental in the brokering the peace if we ever figure out what was that was forcing him to do something that he never wanted to do. Now that we know what's going on the land and we no longer deceive, somebody got to tell the truth to the judge, because the judge got Larry's life in his hands and he's only looking at the deaths. He's not looking at Larry's life is being saved, right, by him not stepping down from the Disciple Nation during this prison bit, because it's recorded already. So I'm going to put the Don Dirky clip in the comments once this is posted, so y'all can come back and see what I'm talking about. And I'm also going to post in the comments a copy of the Duress doctrine of law. When the fraud is discovered, the only remedy is called abandonment of the fraud by walking away from anything that got to do with the fraud. The Duress defense is you kidnap somebody and you tell their father you're going to go rob this bank or I'm going to kill your child. He going to rob that bank, but he don't want to rob the bank. He's not a bank robber at heart. Larry is not a criminal at heart. He is a beautiful person with a good character, and they use his beautiful disposition and good character to force him to be under the spotlight and in prison all this time against his will. So if we talking about a justice system that's about justice, which we know they not, but if you just want somebody to do right about somebody one time, right? Just do right by the man. He gave y'all his whole life, right? With the hopes of one day being able to sit down and his grandchildren asking him about what happened to him. Where he can use all of this stuff he's been through to steer the children in the right direction, but they don't want that because they want us all to go down in flames as tyrants and terrible people, when the tyrants and terrible people is actually the ones that's masquerading as our government. They don't got nothing to do with us. They're occupying foreign military force, giving you the illusion that they belong here and that they in a rightful position, and they the frauds the whole time, right? So, remember, share it to Lil Larry, inbox him if you got his Instagram, inbox this video to him, because we tired of seeing good people persecuted for being good people. It's time for somebody to say, okay, a good man has been held responsible for the tyranny of wicked, and all we have to do is what's right, and let that man go play with his grandbabies, let him breathe free air, let him out of that 29-hour-a-day lockdown BS, and just do what's right by somebody for a change. And if you do what's right, then you're going to be rewarded with the righteousness of heaven. But if you keep persecuting these people, enough is enough. Some of us is going to tell you enough is enough, and then you're going to have rogue actors frustrated with the condition that you will not be able to control unless you can show some semblance of justice. Something has to look like somebody is somewhere trying to do something right for a change. We know about all of the government assassinations of our leadership, but we're not worried about that right now. Right now, the government, these frauds, have the opportunity to do what's right by somebody that was done wrong a long time ago and has been persecuted for being done wrong a long time ago to this day, right? The abandonment defense is not applicable when you're performing under duress. Ask the attorney to let the judge know about the duress aspect. Once he understands that Larry been tried to get away from that, and that all of the dirt that these people has heaped up on his name had nothing to do with him. That was individuals acting on their own behalf, doing their own dirt, as I done my own dirt before I started learning the growth and development literature. This is what stopped me from being a tyrant in my own community, because I ain't got no problem lumping somebody up, putting something in them. But Larry said, no, brother, you don't have to do that. You have to go and learn. You have to outlearn everybody. You have to educate yourself higher than everybody else. Them was the instructions that I got back. He said, don't use your time to learn how to be a better killer. use your time to learn how to be a community healer. You can't be a community healer unless you're standing on the truth. And the truth of the matter is, the man was forced to hold the position during the whole time he was in prison, and you want to continuously hold him in prison for being forced to do something that he already said he didn't want to do. And with that, no code drop on the outs. Get the message to Lil Larry so he can know how to discuss this correctly with the attorney, because he need to know what to do. And the fact that I'm putting it in the public domain is notice the agent is notice the principal. And if the claim is valid, Larry's supposed to be coming home. Unless you deliberately want to let us know that you're part of the continuation of the oppression of the tribal nations, and that the tribes need to readjust and move in a different way to get you motherfuckers off our back. But if you can do something right for a change, do something right. So with that, peace out, family. I'm going to be going now to get the receipt, so I'll talk to y'all later, and I'll probably do a Q&A later on tonight right here. So anybody about 8, 9 o'clock tonight, no, about 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, I'll be on here to do an open Q&A concerning this issue that I'm discussing now, how the Duress Defense work and all that. I will be here to do another live later, but this one I wanted to keep it cut short because I can get long-winded. So catch me later for the Q&A.